In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Well, today we are talking about Mary, and the church isn't Mary, but we can say the church is Marian. She has a very important place. How so you can say the church is Davidic, Marian, covenantal, the New Israel. So because she has a very important, and she gives birth to the church, which is Jesus, and we do the same. So that's why. So we are now in Zion, the city. The city is Zion. In other words, we are now in this picture. We're on the southwest of Jerusalem, which is the New Zion. Okay, and here we have I don't know what's made of, some kind of a figure of Our Lady, and she is the Ark of the Covenant, and because she has in her body Jesus Christ. And we just mentioned in passing, but anyway, we're running out of time, you know. We can't stay all our time in this basement. So let's move on. Let's get cracking. Where are we going off to next? We'll follow Mary. She's a good traveller. She appears all over the shop. And okay, we've got a few more mosaics down here. This is run by the Benedictines, and you see here, okay. Now you see there, this is just above her, and we can see here, look, you see that on a clearer picture of Ruth, who is a Moabitess. We're going to see a clear picture of Ruth, the Moabitess, and she's also part of the genealogy of Mary. We can just see it in a minute, you see, look. The Ruth, the Moabitess, she's Jesus, and then we say, because the reason why we have this close-up of Ruth is because Ruth came from Moab, an ancestor of Jesus Christ. And she wasn't a Jew, just to point out that the Catholic Church isn't just confined to the Jews in Jerusalem. She came from Moab, which is right, so she came from Moab. And in other words, right from the beginning, the Catholic Church and Jesus' mission was universal. It wasn't just to the Jews. It was leading right to the rest of the world. So this is the gate of the Benedictine monastery of the Dormition. And at the bottom there is Peter Galligante. What is this? We just mentioned Pastor. This is where Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Yeah. So it's called Peter Galligante. In other words, Galligante is the cock crow, you know. So that's where the cock crowed. We're going to go through this very fast. At a later stage, we will go detailed about, we'll probably go to Spain. The south of Spain, Seville. And this is all Hebrew stuff. We'll just let the thing run, and we'll just show you. In other words, we're going down to a place called El Rocho, which is a pilgrimage place. Every year, 1 million people can go there, 2,000 horses, and it's a big jamboree celebrating Our Lady. So I'm not going to stop this. I'm just going to well now. This is Seville, one of the 3 Andalusian important places. You have Seville, Cordoba, Granada, and we have these wonderful relics of the Moors here. And we go down there, and this is in Andalusia. Andalusia is the house of the Vandal. So we can't. So we're now going to El Rocho. And El Rocho is Our Lady. We have this fantastic. You see, this is we have these swifts. They're having a good time. This is where they're walking. We're just okay. Now we're in the church of El Rocho, where we have all this gallivanting every year. But this isn't a big. This is not a romeria. Romeria is the Spanish for pilgrim. This is just an ordinary Sunday. We happen to be passing through, and this is what they put on every day. They probably put on a show like this. See, well, just listen to this. El Rocho, southern Spain. This is a fairly new church, actually, but it's an old site. horses. At least on the big pilgrimage days, they have about 2,000 horses. You see that this is all sand because there's so many horses. Now, okay, we're just going to go in a new angle. You can say that this is the Doñana. This is the Doñana Nature Reserve, and we're just going to point out that when we talk about the Catholic Church, we're not just talking about Gothic cathedrals and tabernacles. We're talking about the whole world. This is the Catholic Church. So we'll just use these few birds. And we'll see, that's the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is everything, universal. So these birds are the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church includes everything, okay? Okay, storks. Grebes, again, they go in grebes, okay, grebes. Ground owls, and you can look, if you just listen, you'll see it in a minute, you can see perfectly camouflaged. You see, he's a ground owl. It should say, in a minute you'll see him move. Look. You see? You can see him. Ground owl. Black-winged stilt. Look at him.
What is this?
A masterpiece of nature. Okay. Now, we've jumped, we've dealt with Spain. We're now going to Paris. Okay, La Ville de Paris. Now, where are we now? This is the Church of Saint Denis. Saint Denis, we're now in the Church of Saint Denis, and Denis, as I stated in theological terms, we remember three Denises. Denis the Areopagite. What does that mean, Denis the Areopagite? That means the Areopagus, the hill of Mars, because Paul, when he was going on his trips through Athens, he went up to this hill, the Areopagite, and he began talking with these people called the Areopagus. The Areopagus is where the hill of Mars, where they used to talk about everything, and they were big chatterboxes, and they had a wonderful time, and they just used to chatter about this. One of them was the converts, was a guy called Denis, so he's called Denis the Areopagite, Dionysius the Areopagite. In other words, the guy that was converted. But this place is another Dionysius, another Denis, so in Catholic history, there are three important Denises. Actually, there are lots of them, but the three more prominent. Denis the Areopagite appears in the Acts of the Apostles. Denis, Dionysius, who in the middle century was supposed to have produced some mystical works, a lot of controversies about them. And this place sent Denis, who went to Paris in 250 AD. He was sent by Rome with some other guys, and they had their heads chopped off. And according to the story, which is it's not very easy to believe it, but according to the story, he picked up his head. He had his head chopped off. He had his head chopped off, and he took it up, put it under his arm, walked 2 miles, and surrounded by angels, all singing, saying, Denis, you've got your head under your you know, you can imagine the guy, no head here. He was walking along with a head here, and the angels were flying around, and they came to this place here. This is the story, you know. They came to this place here, and Denis said, okay, well, this is it, boy. Put the thing down, and then died. And so they said, well, he's a martyr. And so we better build a church or do something. So they built a church here. So so the link up here now. What we're going to talk about actually in ostensibly isn't particularly about Denis. It's about Gothic, G-O-T-H, the Goths. Well, and this is why this church is so important, because the Church of Denis is where the whole Gothic story started off. Because in 1140 AD, there was a guy called Abbot Suger. He was the abbot of this Benedictine monastery, and he was a man of means, and he was a man of great insight, and he was very pally with the French kings, and he was a romantic type, and he believed in Neoplatonism, and he was a man of many parts. And he started, he wanted, because at the time, this is the generation, you have St. Bernard, the great ascetic. You have Abelard. We all remember of his romance with Helwa, but he was also one of the great intellectuals of the Middle Ages. And they were contemporary with Abbot Sugar. So this is moving times. Things were afoot. There was the advent of the French. There was the French. We had Charlemagne, who was crowned by the Pope in Rome in 800. And he united all Europe. We could say he's the father. Charlemagne was the father of Europe, and we'll see a statue of him shortly. But after he died, his sons began squabbling, and by the time they get to 1140, France was just this little island on the River Seine, which is called l'Île de Cité, and there's another one, the Ile de Saint Louis, but there's just an island, and all these guys were just locked up there. They were, you know, it was just a little place. But gradually, at this time, 1140, Sugar had regained the property and the grounds of the Benedictines. At that time, people were getting pretty rich. There was money. He had doings. And the main thing, so what his job was, he's the abbot of a Benedictine monastery. He has to bring people to God, but similarly he has to deal with a fractious situation. We have to the west, we have Normandy, and then you east have Burgundy, and all these mad nobles are all fighting it out. And so France was a patchwork of powers. And how do we unite the whole thing? Well, the monarchy. So he was in hand in glove with the kings. He wanted to have a spiritual centre. He wanted to have a cultural centre. What a better than to have a place where St. Denis, where the whole thing, the new Christians started off on Montmartre. We can remember what Montmartre means, Mount of the Martyrs. Montmartre is called Montmartre because Denis was martyred there. So they call him out. So he comes down here. The Gothic things gradually appearing. When we talk about the Gothics, the Gothic revival, the Gothic change, it didn't just suddenly appear out of suddenly this guy Sugar made Gothic. No. We have the Burgundians, they have the pointed arch. The Normans, they have the ribbed vaults. Now, this guy Sugar, what he did was he joined them up and he made this into this Gothic cathedral. So Gothicism was built out of these various ingredients which existed before the Gothic idea of these wild Goths. You have the Visigoths and the Ostrogoths. The Visigoths going to Spain, the Ostrogoths going to Lombardy and in Italy. So we got all the Goths. You could say the real Gothic idea started off the Church of St. Denis, 2 miles from Montmartre, and where Abbot Sugar went to town, joined all the ingredients, and started the kind of the new Gothic world. Well, you could say the Europe, the new Gothic world. And we'll just, you know, if we have patience, we can go on discuss a little better what this all means. Oh, okay.